Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 97 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. 34 of Luo Feng's avatars were stationed at each core area of Yulon City. After obliterating one leader squad and suppressing a second, the remaining 3 leader squads were filled with terror and started fleeing frantically without hesitation. How is Luo Feng so powerful? Why can't an entire leader squad even put up a fight against him? These leader squads couldn't accept it. The city had been broken, and they were about to enjoy a feast, only to be met with such disaster suddenly. Help! King, help! The suppressed second leader squad cried out anxiously for help as one by one they perished. This further heightened the panic among the fleeing leaders. Throughout the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, about half of the leader-level powerhouses of the Enchanting Heartworm tribe and the Soul-Devouring Snake tribe had come to Yulon City, but now they were facing their doom. Huff! 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 One black-clad Luo Feng after another perfected their flying escape technique, the initial massive rift-tearing commotion getting quieter. A blurred rift in the world appeared, and Luo Feng stepped out, crossing great distances. When Luo Feng transformed into a blood sea, trapping the third leader squad, the remaining fleeing leaders became even more despairing. Scatter! Disperse and hide, possess someone. The remaining leaders quickly scattered, attempting to possess cultivators. Scatter? Luo Feng's numerous avatars, initially cloned with 100 times energy reserve, split again into avatars with 50 times energy reserve, drastically increasing their numbers. With the leaders dispersed, their individual resistance was much weaker than an entire squad. A biomimetic destruction eye appeared between Luo Feng's brows, locking onto the true body of each leader. Huff! As each Luo Feng avatar walked through the rift, transforming into bloodlight and sweeping past a leader, they killed them in an instant. Individually, the leaders couldn't withstand even a single move from him. Luo Feng! The king in Master Wei Yan's guise was indeed furious. It charged towards the nearest Luo Feng avatar. Luo Feng, standing in the high sky, watched the king without flinching, his expression cold. I didn't think there'd be such a strong person in Yulon City. It's a good thing Palace Master Yuan Xiong hadn't fully employed you. If he had, breaking Yulon City would have been impossible, the king's voice echoed in Luo Feng's mind. Luo Feng looked at the king in Master Wei Yan's guise. Employed? He was already the city lord of Yulon City, having just made a breakthrough. Luckily, the breakthrough happened in time. If he'd been slower, Yulon City might have been completely destroyed. Boom! As the king approached, its innate secret technique, enchanting, was already enacted. In an instant, it completely shrouded Luo Feng's mental consciousness. This ordinary avatar of Luo Feng did not possess the undying heart or palm world. He felt a massive influx of information flooding his mind, thoroughly disturbing his awareness. Who am I? Am I an enchanting heartworm? No. I am, of course, Luo Feng. Luo Feng's eyes cleared. The doubt of the ultimate realm of God King had begun to counteract Will attacks. The doubt of the Divine Emperor realm, as it became stronger, increasingly obstructed Will attacks. This was why weapon secret treasures crafted by Divine Emperors could hinder Will attacks. Luo Feng's life and death Dao at the late Divine Emperor stage had reached an incredibly high level. Under its immense obstruction, even the mental Will attack of a transcendent-level enchanting heartworm was weakened by 70 to 80% in a moment. Furthermore, with the Lai Yuan technique guarding him and the power of Yulon City protecting him, every ounce of willpower was suppressed, mental confusion abilities were greatly reduced. Luo Feng only received a large amount of information transmitted by innate confusion. He was fully awake, easily filtering through the information, as though reading a book. Suppress. As Luo Feng maintained clarity, this avatar transformed into a blood sea, creating a formation to trap the transcendent-level enchanting heartworm. My mental attack is completely ineffective against him. His realm indeed rivals mine. The king immediately understood. Divine Emperor Perfection level low-level primordial beings and half-primordial level Tao enlighteners were at the same level. One side had more resilient life forms, while the other fully understood the essence of the Tao. Without weapon secret treasures, their strengths were similar. However, with weapon secret treasures crafted by caged transcendent beings, Tao enlighteners naturally had higher combat power. Both Master Wei Yang and Master Gai Dao could defeat Divine Emperor Perfection level low-level primordial beings one-on-one. Transcendent level low-level primordial beings at the same level as those mastering two half-primordial level Daos. Luo Feng's realm is no less than ours. The king immediately sent a mental message to the other 4 transcendent level comrades. He should have mastered 2 half-primordial level Daos. The 4 transcendent level beings, already in Yulon City and quickly heading toward the core area, felt a shock. We have 5 transcendent level beings and over 2,000 Divine Emperor Perfection level warriors. Attacking together, we could completely annihilate him, the king sent. 1 transcendent level being was comparable to more than 20 Divine Emperor Perfection level experts. When over 2,000 Divine Emperor Perfection level experts joined forces, the resulting might could destroy the world. Luckily, we breached the city, otherwise we couldn't surround him, the king communicated. Shadow, I will first join forces with you to entangle him. A blue-white figure, the fastest flyer, appeared blurry and was already the closest among the 4 transcendent level beings to the core area. After the king's mental attack failed, its massive enchanting heartworm body swung and instantly tore apart Luo Feng's blood sea formation, quickly escaping. Luo Feng's avatar coldly watched. Without secret treasures and with only an ordinary avatar, I am still somewhat weaker than a transcendent level being, Luo Feng realized. That was also why his most powerful secret techniques, Undying Blood Sea Body and Biomimetic Destruction Eye, were not yet perfected. Ordinary secret techniques lacked deterrent power against transcendent level beings. Huff. 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 While Luo Feng clashed with the king, his other avatars had already wiped out the other leaders. After annihilating them, Luo Feng reverted to 34 avatars. 34 avatars continued to guard the core area. How is this possible? The elders of Yulon City, who controlled the formations carved into the city, sensing the entire city through them, naturally saw clearly what had just taken place in the core area. Luo Feng, single-handedly, split into 34 avatars and completely exterminated all the leader-level lurkers. Even that king couldn't gain any advantage in its confrontation with one of Luo Feng's avatars and had to retreat empty-handed. Single-handedly exterminated 30 Divine Emperor Perfection level low-level primordial beings. Even a transcendent level enchanting heartworm couldn't do anything against one avatar. Luo Feng Divine Emperor, Anyone with eyes could see that Luo Feng's strength had far surpassed the Palace Master level, reaching an even higher tier. Luo Feng has mastered 2 half-primordial level Daos. The elders speculated. Even in the Dark Sacred Realm, those who mastered 2 half-primordial level Daos were at the pinnacle. As for stronger invincible beings? In the Dark Sacred Realm, they were mere legends, rarely seen. Luo Feng actually possesses such power. The Insect Nest Master trembled. Any Palace Master level being would probably die in just 1 or 2 moves against him now. He and I have enmity. Even if Yulon City is defended, there will be no place for me there anymore, the Insect Nest Master realized. In the world of cultivators, strength was paramount. Even if Luo Feng wasn't the city lord, his strength to overturn Palace Master level beings would make him the uncrowned king of Yulon City. If he wanted to expel the insect nest, it would have no place to live in Yulon City. I'll help defend the city for now and leave once it's safe. His hostility should lessen, the Insect Nest Master decided. Luo Feng's strength. The Master of Shadow Tower, Master of Deceit Workshop, Elder Tian He, Building Master Changqing, and Elder Xingyi were all in shock, each lost in thought. This level of power made someone the uncrowned king in any city within the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, and in the Dark Sacred Realm, it placed them at the peak. We are saved. Yulon City is saved. Many elders were excited, seeing hope. Palace Master, Palace Master. We must have Luo Feng Divine Emperor imprint formations in the core area of Yulon City. With his power and the city's formations, we might completely drive off the low-level primordial army. Yes, Palace Master, Luo Feng Divine Emperor must imprint the formations as soon as possible. The Master of Shadow Tower also transmitted instantly. The sooner the better. Only Luo Feng Divine Emperor can save Yulon City. Palace Master. The Insect Nest Master and others transmitted urgently. Everyone, rest assured, I have already given the city building seal to Luo Feng Divine Emperor. From now on, Luo Feng Divine Emperor is the Lord of Yulon City. Palace Master Yuan Xiong transmitted, Luo Feng, please respond to everyone. Everyone. As the city lord, Luo Feng instantly transmitted to all elders, I have refined the city building seal and am now the city lord of Yulon City. City lord. Lord Luo. With Lord Luo here, Yulon City is saved. The billions of cultivators are saved. The elders were all elated. Luo Feng transmitted, everyone, the low-level primordial army won't wait. They'll attack me at all costs. So, I ask all of you to use Yulon City's formations to deal with them. Understood. We understand. City Lord, leave it to us. The elders had seen the hope of victory. The vast low-level primordial army surged towards the core area from all sides. Luo Feng's biomimetic destruction I observed closely. The most terrifying force was the 5 transcendent level beings and over 2600 Divine Emperor perfection level entities. Kill Luo Feng. Destroy each of his avatars. Exhaust his energy, and he won't be able to save Yulon City. At this moment, the 5 transcendent level beings, over 2600 Divine Emperor perfection level entities, and tens of thousands of late-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial beings were all in a frenzy. Breaking into a city was their best chance to gain freedom in this lifetime. They had been confined in the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm and yearned for the moment of their freedom. Luo Feng was the hope of survival for Yulon City's billions of cultivators, but at the same time, Luo Feng was the greatest obstacle to the low-level primordial army's freedom. Both sides would stop at nothing. Block them, delay time. The elders of Yulon City, one by one, activated the city's formations. The might of many formations attacked the army of low-level primordial life. Although the army could easily withstand the attacks, their speed was naturally greatly affected. Hurry! It must be quick! If we delay, Luo Feng will be able to inscribe his formation on Yulon City. The formation he sets up is more terrifying than the combined formations of over 300 elders. It would be a big problem then. The 5 kings were well aware of the situation. With such a powerful individual like Luo Feng appearing in Yulon City, the situation became dangerous, but these superlimit level beings were still unwilling to give up. Without the superlimit level lurkers breaking through from within, the chances of breaking the city were almost nil. The time to fight desperately was now. Shadow, act! Among the army of low-level primordial life, a blue-white figure moved at extreme speed, reaching the core area first. Okay. The superlimit level enchanting heartworm also rushed over, intending to unite. Are they going to join forces? Luo Feng, guarding with 34 avatars, observed with the biomimetic destruction eye and sensed every movement in the city with the city building seal. Naturally, he knew that these 2 kings were going to join forces and come together to attack. The superlimit level Shu Guang Demon Lord. Luo Feng observed the blue-white figure. It had 8 thick, sharp claws, its whole body covered in blue-white scales, with an upper body resembling a human, also possessing 2 powerful arms. Its face was stern, eyes glowing deep blue. Whoosh! As it hurried, it flickered like a stream of light. Despite not traversing space, its speed was extremely fast. How can I let you unite? Luo Feng moved. The strongest avatar with the undying heart and palm world moved. Luo Feng took a step, walking between the scenes of heaven and earth, and within 2 steps, he was close to that huge blue-white figure. Boom tilde tilde tilde. In an instant, Luo Feng turned into an endless blood sea, intending to drown the huge blue-white figure. This endless blood sea contained 100-fold energy reserve and used the secret treasure, Undying Heart, as its core. After comprehending the late-stage divine emperor life and death Tao, Luo Feng naturally reached a higher level of understanding of the undying heart, driving the secret treasure with mysteries even above the late-stage divine emperor life and death Tao. This is the advantage of secret treasures, allowing a cultivator to perform beyond their level. Every drop of water in this endless blood sea was indestructible, the mighty blood waves exerted terrifying binding power. Rip! Shu Guang Demon Lord, with its massive body and 8 thick claws, trampled the void at great speed, bringing terrifying might to the blood sea. Each claw's sharp tip slashed through the binding of the blood waves. Bang! 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 The claws trampled the blood sea, making heaven and earth tremble. Shu Guang Demon Lord forcibly broke through the blood sea's bind, its eyes full of coldness. Die? It didn't hold back at all, using its desperate moves from the start. Its whole body shone with dazzling blue-white light. The massive energy inside it exploded all at once. To the cultivators in Yulon City and the distant low-level primordial life army, they only saw an incomparably dazzling blue-white light burst out, as if a massive light ball appeared between heaven and earth. The massive light ball enveloped the entire blood sea as if wanting to burn it down. But the strongest aspect of the secret treasure, undying heart, was its defensive tenacity. The blood sea was tough, not even a drop was damaged. The undying heart is extremely strong in defense, but weaker in offense. Relying solely on the undying heart, I can maintain an invincible position and suppress this Shu Guang Demon Lord. But to kill it, that's troublesome. To deal with a superlimit level being, using 2 secret treasures is a must. Luo Feng became increasingly aware of his shortcomings in secret techniques. If the secret techniques, Undying Blood Seed Body, and Biomimetic Destruction Eye, were perfected to a higher level, it would be much easier to kill a superlimit level being. The superlimit level Shu Guang Demon Lord is too terrifying. The elders of Yulon City, seeing the explosive force, felt a chill in their hearts. Under such a force, any elder would be turned to ashes with just one move. Is City Lord Luo Feng being suppressed in front of this superlimit level Shu Guang Demon Lord? The elders couldn't discern the situation, only seeing Shu Guang Demon Lord's claws trampling the blood sea, and there was endless light burning the blood sea. My desperate move couldn't even hurt him at all. Shu Guang Demon Lord realized that, despite its full strength, every drop of water in the endless blood sea was incomparably tough, not damaged in the slightest. It faintly sensed something was wrong. Suddenly, boom! A colossal furry claw suddenly stretched out from the endless blood sea. At such close range, Shu Guang Demon Lord couldn't dodge in time, only feeling the world divided and a space prison formed. The colossal furry claw directly grabbed Shu Guang Demon Lord's body. How could this be? Shu Guang Demon Lord exerted its arms, struggling fiercely. But it found it couldn't resist the furry giant claw, which terrifyingly suppressed its resistance, continuing to tighten. The claw's sharp nails had already shattered many blue-white scales and were gradually piercing into Shu Guang Demon Lord's body. What? Shu Guang Demon Lord's whole body radiated light, layers of light protecting its physical body, struggling to resist. It didn't die with one claw? These superlimit level beings are indeed innate primordial lives, their vitality is immensely strong. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised. Boom! The colossal furry claw, grasping Shu Guang Demon Lord's body, forcibly dragged it into the endless blood sea. The blood sea churned, completely engulfing Shu Guang Demon Lord. The endless blood sea formation operated, layers of binding power constricted around Shu Guang Demon Lord, making it bear the combined suppression of the entire blood sea formation. No, Shu Guang Demon Lord struggled, the blood sea churning, but it couldn't break free. As it struggled, Luo Feng didn't stop. The colossal furry claw kept attacking Shu Guang Demon Lord, each blow carrying the power to severely wound it. Each successive strike was terrifying. After more than 10 blows, the already tattered body of Shu Guang Demon Lord had multiple bloody holes pierced by the furry claw, no longer able to hide its life core, which was smashed. Shu Guang Demon Lord's eyes dimmed instantly. The torn colossal body could no longer resist. The corpse of the superlimit level Shu Guang Demon Lord floated in the depths of the blood sea. Finally killed it. Luo Feng sighed. For him now, defeating a superlimit level being was easy, but to kill one, he needed both Undying Heart and Palm World. After all, he had just broken through. With a thought, Luo Feng stored Shu Guang Demon Lord's corpse into his storage treasure. In the eyes of the elders of Yulon City, in the observation of many cultivators, and in the attention of the low-level primordial life army, the clash between Luo Feng and the superlimit level Shu Guang Demon Lord lasted only about 7 breaths. Once caught by the colossal furry claw, dragged into the depths of the Blood Sea. Shu Guang Demon Lord struggled for a few more breaths, causing the Blood Sea to churn a bit, then completely died. This scene shocked both sides. This was a superlimit level low-level primordial life. According to legend, even those enlightened ones who mastered 2 half-primordial paths need enough accumulation and suitable secret treasures to hunt them. In less than 10 breaths, one-on-one, this superlimit level being was killed. The cultivators in Yulon City who witnessed the battle were thrilled and excited. But the low-level primordial life army was shocked and furious, especially the other 4 superlimit levels. This Luo Feng grew up in Yulon City. Not long ago he was less than Palace Master level. Even if he broke through to his current realm, he should be a newly advanced one. How did he so easily kill Shu Guang? Newly advanced, even with powerful secret treasures, he shouldn't be this strong. The 4 superlimit levels couldn't comprehend. Palace Master Yuan Xiong was also puzzled. Luo Feng's cultivation, as I see it, should be along the paths of life and destruction. Palace Master Yuan Xiong, in an ordinary cave mansion in the outer city district, had gleaned Luo Feng's paths from the previous life and death array, even if he cultivated both life and destruction to the half-primordial level. This requires time to accumulate a perfect combination. Perhaps, he has a very powerful secret treasure. Palace Master Yuan Xiong guessed. In infinite space, a secret treasure worth over 10,000 reward points can create miracles. No matter what, Yulon City is saved this time. Palace Master Yuan Xiong was more confident, only, I wonder how many cultivators will die in Yulon City this time. If we can keep it under 30%, it would be considered good. He knew clearly that since the army had entered the city, with over 2,000 at Divine Emperor Perfection level and tens of thousands at the late-stage Divine Emperor level, the fall of the city decided there would be many casualties. At the moment of Shu Guang Demon Lord's death, the superlimit level Enchanting Heartworm immediately became illusory and quickly retreated. The other 3 superlimit level beings, the enormous entity of the Winding Mountains, the multi-tentacled thunder creature, and the huge black-winged bird, also began to change direction, actively seeking to join forces. We can't face him one-on-one. We need to unite first, and then the 4 of us will work together to deal with him. From this battle where he killed Shu Guang, his realm is stronger than ours, and he has powerful secret treasures. That furry giant claw. I can sense, it should be refined from the corpse of a high-level primordial life. These cultivators are granted suitable secret treasures. But we have no such suitable treasures. This battle isn't fair. No way around it, this is ultimately a place for the cultivator camp to nurture their descendants. Naturally, they favor these cultivators. If we return to the territory ruled by the ancestor, these cultivators are our food. These 4 superlimit levels felt aggrieved, but ever since they were captured by those who escaped from the Lurker's cage and thrown into the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, they could only obediently follow the rules. The 4 superlimit levels proactively united. Although this wasted some time, it allowed Luo Feng to focus entirely on inscribing the formation. But they had no choice, for going alone would surely lead to death. Even if 2 joined forces, they might still risk death. Luo Feng watched as the overwhelming low-level primordial life army surged in from all directions. In his eyes, he could withstand the 4 superlimit level beings. But regardless of the 2,600-plus Divine Emperor Perfection level beings or the tens of thousands of late-stage Divine Emperors, once they got close, a single combined strike from them would be too much. His 34 avatars wouldn't hold, and he would have to rely on his movement technique to escape far away. I must set up the formation before the army reaches the core area. Once the army arrives, it will completely destroy the core area, with likely 9 out of 10 elders perishing. Luo Feng understood this point. Without the elders' assistance, Even if I manage to repel this army by myself, there will still be heavy casualties within the city. To reduce casualties, the elders must be protected. The elders' formation combined with his own would maximize their defensive power. Deploy the formation. Luo Feng stood there, almost all his thoughts focused on the core formation layer of Yulon City, rapidly engraving the formation. Whoosh tilde 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 whoosh tilde 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 whoosh tilde tilde tilde. The overwhelming army was attacking from all directions simultaneously. The 4 super limit level beings didn't dare get too close and had already converged at a distance. The 4 of us will join forces and try to distract Luo Feng. If he battles with the 4 of us, he'll have to divert much of his attention. This way, the speed at which he sets up the formation will significantly decrease. Once the army arrives at the core area, it will completely destroy the entire area where the elders live. Without the aid of nearly 200 elders, even if Luo Feng tries to suppress us alone, we should be able to kill enough cultivators and successfully retreat. The 4 super limit level beings were very clear about the situation. If the city falls, it would be to their advantage. Luo Feng is too fast, free to come and go, and the low-level primordial life army can't kill him. But they can exterminate the remaining nearly 200 elders. This would be severing one of Luo Feng's arms. Otherwise, Luo Feng leading numerous elders together would doubly increase their deterrent power. The formation set up by someone mastering 2 half-primordial level DAOs would be immensely vast and complex and would still need some time to complete. We need to delay a little more. Regardless, it will be enough time for the army to reach the core area. The 4 super limit level beings had calculated and deemed their chances very high. First, annihilate the elders to weaken Yulon City's deterrent power, then slaughter the cultivators, and finally lead the entire army to escape. That was their plan. The army would likely suffer significant losses, but the 4 super limit level beings could still survive. Whoosh! 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 The 4 super limit level beings burst forth in speed, charging straight at Luo Feng. For super limit level beings? Can City Lord Luo Feng withstand them alone against 4? The elders in the city and many cultivators looked up and saw the 4 enormous figures. The enchanting heartworm completely revealed its true form, its illusory body appearing and disappearing. The black, serpentine mountain-like being had black flames surging on its surface, with burning eyes staring at Luo Feng from its massive head. Another enormous thunderbolt tentacle creature observed Luo Feng with numerous tentacles. A massive bird exuding endless destruction spread its wings, seemingly covering half the sky. For super limit level beings. Even at my peak, relying on mighty secret treasures, I could only flee in embarrassment facing 4 super limit level beings, said Yuan Xiong Palace Master, looking up, knowing the difference between 1-on-1 and 1-on-4 was vast. For super limit level beings could coordinate and simultaneously strike from different angles, tremendously increasing their threat level. Luo Feng, do you dare battle us? The voice of the super limit level enchanting heartworm echoed in Luo Feng's mind. Of course, you can also choose to flee, and we 4 can rampage through the core area, exterminating those elders one by one. Luo Feng gazed at the 4 figures. 1-on-1, you tremble in terror. 4-on-1, you 4 have confidence, Luo Feng said, as his 34 avatars guarded their posts. I shall grant your wish. Whoosh! Luo Feng's strongest avatar took the initiative, stepping forward, moving within the blurred rifts of heaven and earth, charging straight at the 4 super limit level beings. Since a battle was inevitable, it had to be fought away from the core area. Although the battle might affect some innocent cultivators, there was no choice, sacrifices must be made in war. Saving one more elder might save millions of cultivators indirectly. Here he comes. The 4 super limit level beings stared intently at the black-clad, black-haired figure. This figure walked through the rifts of heaven and earth, taking 2 steps to reach them. A wave of mental force instantly struck Luo Feng as the super limit level enchanting heartworm immediately used its innate secret technique, Enchanting Heart. Although Luo Feng could withstand it, he had to divert some heart force and utilize techniques like the Lai Yuan technique to resist. HMPH. As Luo Feng approached, an overwhelming endless blood sea appeared beneath him, swirling and surging, aiming to engulf the four super limit level beings completely. In the area below Luo Feng, there were large sections of cave mansions. The cultivators in these mansions looked up at the sky, seeing the swirling vast blood sea and the four super limit level beings. I hope we are not affected. If this level of battle affects us, we might be done for. The cultivators' hearts trembled as they could only activate the formations within their cave mansions, doing their best to ward off any possible aftermath. While battling, Luo Feng would try to protect these weaker ones. But in a super limit level battle, Luo Feng couldn't guarantee that he could fully protect the cultivators while also fighting. Boom! In the endless blood sea, a massive black serpent-like figure erupted with terrifying flames which burned the blood sea everywhere and even attempted to incinerate Luo Feng's soul. However, the impact on the soul was much weaker compared to the enchanting heartworm's innate secret technique, enchanting heart. That thunderbolt tentacle creature's form gathered endless thunder, madly bombarding the blood sea. Destroy! The immense bird of destruction, its wings spread out like fog. As its wings flapped, layers of dark energy surged towards the blood sea like tidal waves, penetrating through every layer, shaking, twisting, and tearing apart. It also traced the life aura, aiming to shake, twist, and kill Luo Feng's soul. Among the four super limit level beings, the bird of destruction deals the most damage. At this moment, Luo Feng was subjected to over 10 types of attacks. Material destruction, flames, dark energies, thunder, invisible restraints, tentacles, causality attacks on the soul, energy shocks, twisting and tearing all creation. Each of these attacks could severely injure a Palace Master level being, and 2 or 3 combined could destroy a Palace Master. With over 10 forces striking simultaneously, Luo Feng, having just recently broken through, had his life form secret technique incomplete. If not for ordinary avatars, they would have been utterly annihilated under such assault. But with the undying heart support, the undying blood sea dramatically enhanced, becoming nearly indestructible. Regardless of soul or physical body, this blood sea body stubbornly withstood the full force assault of the 4 super limit level beings in an instant, with only a minimal amount of blood sea water being consumed. Yet the consumption rate still couldn't match his absorption of Yulon City's energy. In true combat, protect yourself first, then seek to kill the enemy, Luo Feng thought to himself. Protective treasures were incredibly precious. The one he exchanged from the infinite space treasure vault, the one that suited him, balancing life and destruction, was only the undying heart. What? The 4 super limit level beings were astonished. Despite their full efforts, the vast blood sea didn't seem to suffer any noticeable loss. Swoosh! From within the blood sea, a massive furry paw instantly grabbed the bird of destruction. The bird, dealing the most damage, let out an extraordinarily sharp cry. The bird of destruction transformed into black mist, its immense form becoming a hazy bird-like shape in midair. Rumble, Luo Feng's furry paw then swiped at the nearby thunderbolt tentacle creature. The thunderbolt tentacle creature's many thick tentacles immediately tried to entangle and block the paw. But the terrifying power of the paw forcibly squeezed tight. Bang! On the other side, the black serpentine mountain-like being's tail viciously whipped Luo Feng's paw. The tremendous impact forced Luo Feng's paw to release its grip, allowing the thunderbolt tentacle creature to escape in a panic. The vast blood sea roiling and binding all around. Thunder, flames, dark erosion spread their forces, and the immensely terrifying furry paw pursued and attacked the 4 super limit level beings. Each had their techniques, coordinating to protect themselves. How is Luo Feng this strong? Even though we 4 are together, we can't threaten his protective capabilities. But his secret treasure paw can threaten our lives. Though unwilling to admit it, the 4 super limit level beings were indeed at a disadvantage in this 1 versus 4 battle. They couldn't harm Luo Feng. They could only collaborate to survive. Despite their disadvantage, the 4 super limit level beings didn't give up and continued to battle Luo Feng together. The super limit level enchanting heartworm repeatedly used its innate secret technique to interfere with Luo Feng. Amazing. To be dominant in a 4-on-1 battle, City Lord Luo Feng is impressive. The elders watching were excited, and the cultivators in the caves below the battlefield were deeply grateful. Due to Luo Feng's upper hand, he could still divert some thoughts to control Yulon City's energy, reducing the battle's fallout, saving the caves below. To be dominant against 4 super limit level beings. Compared to him, Wei Yan Palace Master is far inferior. The Shadow Tower Master watched, feeling regrets about the conflicts he had with Luo Feng. While battling, Luo Feng looked into the distance. The low-level primordial life army was flying towards the core area from all directions. Thus, the distances varied, with the closest army approaching from the East City Gate, now not far from the core area. Ha ha ha, almost there. One of the armies is close to the core area. The 4 super limit level beings were thrilled. This army has over 800 Divine Emperor perfection level beings and over 12,000 late-stage Divine Emperors, enough to annihilate the core area. They eagerly watched. Since Luo Feng broke through from the Life and Death Dao, he had begun setting up the formation in the Yulon City's core layer immediately. Basing the formation on the late-stage Divine Emperor Life and Death Dao naturally made it vast and complex. I divided the formation into 3 layers. Set up the first layer first. The most crucial aspect of the first layer is speed. No matter how fast the first layer, it only contained the basics of the late-stage Divine Emperor Life and Death Dao, as Luo Feng simplified it and, with the help of the tripled speed of thought provided by the 100 Tribulations Heart Essence, quickly set up the simplest first layer. The formation structure could vary greatly. Luo Feng chose the 3-layered array to quickly set up the first layer, so as to change the tide of war and save more cultivators' lives. While sensing the low-level primordial life army approaching, Luo Feng, while battling the 4 super limit level beings, was fully focused on setting up the formation. Done. At last, as he completed the first layer of the formation, his eyes were filled with excitement. The elders of Yulon City controlled numerous formations, desperately trying to fend off the approaching armies from all directions. Not good, the nearest army is about to reach the core area. Over 800 Divine Emperor perfection level and more than 12,000 late-stage Divine Emperor level troops. We can't stop such an army, and neither can City Lord Luo Feng. The elders felt powerless. A single Divine Emperor perfection level low-level primordial life was equivalent to a Palace Master level entity without weapon secret treasure. It seemed as if over 800 Palace Masters and 12,000 elders were attacking together, with enough collective power to destroy any obstacle in their path. Our avatars may die, but in this battle, victory will ultimately belong to us cultivators. Once Lord Luo Feng finishes imprinting the formation, his formation will be stronger than all the elders combined and will be enough to repel these low-level primordial life armies. We just don't know how many cultivators within the city will perish. Compared to total slaughter, if more than half of the city's inhabitants could survive, the elders would already consider it very fortunate. The elders remained relatively calm. They had done everything they could. Even if they died, it would just be their avatars. As long as they eventually achieved victory, most of their resources in Yulon City could still be preserved. Core area, Luo Feng's cave mansion. Emperor Qing, Emperor Ming, and Di Fu looked up, observing the various Luo Feng figures stationed in defense, along with the massive approaching low-level primordial life army in the distance. Brother Luo Feng first killed a super limit level entity. Emperor Qing was greatly astounded. Now, he is even managing to suppress 4 super limit level entities single-handedly. Super limit level entities were already the strongest among the low-level primordial life. Luo Feng could fight against 4 of them simultaneously. One could say that at this level. Even if Luo Feng went to the Dark Sacred Realm, despite its higher dangers, greater number of low-level primordial life, and overall strength, the threat to Luo Feng would still be exceedingly low. Brother Luo Feng stands at the pinnacle level even in the Dark Sacred Realm, Emperor Qing whispered softly. Isn't he far stronger than the 2 ancestors? Di Fu pondered. Of course. The ancestors are only a level above me, akin to the elder level of Yulon City. In front of Brother Luo Feng now, they wouldn't be able to withstand even one move, Emperor Qing said with conviction. You know, he has cultivated from an eternal true god to the strongest level in the land of origin within 1,000 eras. I guessed he would still be very dazzling outside the source world. But who could have imagined he would be even stronger than I anticipated? I've only teamed up with him a few times, and now he's the city lord of Yulon City. Emperor Qing exclaimed. Emperor Ming also looked up. Perhaps with such potential, brother Luo Feng might even break free from the braided cage. Breaking free from the braided cage and becoming a true primordial life, Di Fu's heart surged. If he succeeds, we would have a friend who broke free from the braided cage. Breaking free from the braided cage is not easy, Emperor Qing said. In the dark sacred realm, breaking free from the braided cage is a legend. Brother Luo Feng might face some hardships. They continued chatting. Both Emperor Qing and Di Fu had avatars and did not fear death. Emperor Ming, who had moved from despair to seeing a glimmer of hope, had become much more composed. While the three of them were relatively calm, many cultivators in the core area were becoming increasingly anxious. The army is coming. Luo Feng Divine Emperor must hold them off. Everything depends on City Lord Luo Feng now. Those living in the core area, many were mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened ones. Several were even at stronger levels, mostly possessing true bodies. They had too many aspirations and pursuits. Having walked the path of cultivation to this point, they would naturally not resign themselves to death. The entire army is attacking. City Lord Luo Feng won't be able to hold them off. Some cultivators who saw the situation clearly sighed, watching death approach. The army was getting close, and each low-level primordial life was maddened with excitement, seeming to envision destroying the Elder Cave mansions and crushing Yulon City's last line of defense, indulging in rampant slaughter. Ha ha, it's almost here. We indeed have the potential to slaughter cultivators and then escape. The four super-limit entities battling Luo Feng were also becoming more excited. Though they were on the losing side, the situation was about to change soon. In a moment, Luo Feng would need to go all out to repel the low-level primordial life army, as their destructive power was far greater than the four super-limit entities. Suddenly, the sky brightened. The sky over Yulon City became completely illuminated. All low-level primordial lives and cultivators noticed the change, instinctively observing the sky. The originally cloudy weather had vanished, even the faint rain mist within Yulon City had dispersed. The sky brightened immensely. Sky blue, like a vast jade, brightly filled with endless vitality. This is. The ground of Yulon City also turned pitch black at the same time. Endless blackness, like fog or ink, adhered to the ground. At this moment, blue sky, black earth. The ends of heaven and earth, where the blue sky and black earth connected. What's happening? The fast-flying low-level primordial life army felt an immense weakness throughout their bodies, their vitality rapidly dissipating. Within just a couple of breaths, they became powerless and fell. Previously, when fending off the Elders' formations, the low-level primordial life army merely needed to join forces to form a protective barrier. But now, without sensing any attack, creatures on the fringes of the army began to fall lifelessly to the ground. On the surface, these low-level primordial life corpses bore no signs of injury. What's happening? This is a formation. It's a heaven and earth array. The low-level primordial life army within Yulon City consisted of 4 units. They moved collectively to avoid being assailed by the Elders' formations. However, under the mysterious formation engulfing the entire city, their fellow creatures were dying and falling continuously, arousing their fury. Swish! The sky descended with a faint blue mist. The earth also emitted a black mist. The blue and black mist rapidly enveloped all the low-level primordial life armies and the entire city, including all cave mansions and cultivators. The cultivators felt no threat. This black and blue mist? The cultivators within the city gazed at the intertwined black and blue mist, only sensing an ordinary scene. But the low-level primordial life army knew well the terror of this black and blue mist. They had already formed protective barriers around the army's perimeter, but under the mist's cover, the hiss sound quickly eroded and penetrated their defenses. In some weak spots in the defenses, the mist broke through in the blink of an eye and easily invaded the low-level primordial life's bodies, contaminating their life cores. At the slightest touch, the life core would crack. In the city, the 4 low-level primordial life armies had many weak points in their defenses breached, causing numerous low-level primordial lives to fall dead to the ground. Hold fast. Hold fast, don't allow any weak points in the defenses. The low-level primordial life armies were exerting all their strength, disregarding the energy drain, creating layer upon layer of defensive barriers, frantically protecting all areas. Despite tightly sealed defenses, some weaker low-level primordial lives would still silently perish. There are causality curse-killing attacks. Even through the energy barriers, they can still kill our kind. These low-level primordial lives were quite wise, recognizing the unseen attacks, yet they couldn't fend them off. As some low-level primordial lives died silently, natural weaknesses emerged in the defenses, allowing the external black and blue mist to seep in and erode vitality. What do we do? What do we do? The four armies were fighting desperately but lacked skill in formations. Under Luo Feng's internal and external array attacks, the black and blue mist continued to break through some nodes, causing casualties. Every action of a cultivator in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm is suppressed by the heavens and earth. But once the formation is inscribed in Yulon City, cultivators not only face no suppression but are bolstered by Yulon City's energy. As the city lord, I mobilize the energy most prolifically. Luo Feng felt utterly relieved. Various life and death Dao killing techniques could silently claim the lives of those low-level primordial lives. The four super-limit level entities battling Luo Feng felt chills down their spines. Luo Feng has successfully arranged the formation. It's stronger than all the elders combined. Such a formation can only be arranged by someone who has mastered two half-primordial level paths. The existence of cultivation in the fusion Dao was exceedingly rare. Those who reached high levels were even more scarce. Fusion Dao cultivators reaching the late stage of Divine Emperor were nearly impossible to find throughout the Dark Sacred Realm. Hence, all cultivators and low-level primordial lives alike would concur. Beyond the half-primordial enlightened were typically those who mastered two half-primordial paths. How could such a horrifying formation be set up so quickly? It happened so fast. Much faster than anticipated. The four super-limit entities felt hopeless. Even Luo Feng's seemingly simple first-layer formation rivals the formidable arrays crafted by Yuan Xiong Palace Master and his peers. King, what should we do? A causal-type invisible attack, continually killing our kind. King, the black and blue mist is eroding everything, our energy drains constantly, yet we gain no replenishments. If this continues, we'll only grow weaker. The four armies panicked, realizing their impending doom. The cultivator camp, leveraging Yulon City, had continuous energy supplies. Meanwhile, under Luo Feng's array, the low-level primordial lives couldn't absorb energy at all. We lost. The four super-limit entities conceded at this moment, aware that a defeat awaited. Cooperating with nearly 200 elders and Luo Feng, if they delayed further, even escaping might be impossible. All four armies, flee for your lives separately. Escaping the Yulon City boundary offers hope for survival. During the escape, you may slaughter cultivators. The more cultivators you kill, even without freedom, you might transform and further advance. A voice echoed within the hearts of all Divine Emperor perfection level low-level primordial lives in the four armies. The four super-limit level exchanged glances. To save their lives, they had to let their armies share some of the burden. If the four armies focus on escaping without harming the cultivators, given Luo Feng's coordination with the Heaven and Earth array, he might break us down one by one and eliminate us all. The four super-limit level were very aware of this point. Even with 4 against 1, they were already at a disadvantage, and this was without the formation being fully set up. With the formation's support, even if the 4 of them focused solely on survival, they wouldn't last long. Once the 4 armies start slaughtering the cultivators, their destructive power will far exceed ours, forcing Luo Feng to save the cultivators. They understood well the mindset of their armies. The Divine Emperor Perfection level members of the 4 armies were each leaders of their respective units, following the kings in the hope of capturing the city. From the moment we entered the city, I've wanted to slaughter. But the king forced us to first destroy the core area, and now we've ended up in defeat. We've held back for so long, it's time to kill, kill to our heart's content. Maybe if we kill enough cultivators, we can regain our freedom. We'll retreat while slaughtering, but the retreat speed will be slowed by 30 to 40%, and the casualties will be severe. The king wants us to slaughter to lure the cultivators. In the Nine Rivers sacred realm, we've always barely survived. With freedom right before us, why not fight for it? This might be our only chance to break through a cultivator city. We'll regret it if we don't slaughter this time. The Divine Emperor Perfection level members communicated their thoughts rapidly. Within a breath's time, the Divine Emperor Perfection level members of the four armies quickly reached a consensus. They all decided to retreat while slaughtering. Though it would affect their escape speed, it also gave them hope for freedom. Even if they couldn't regain their freedom, their bloodlines might advance further. In fact, when they first entered the city, these armies already wanted to slaughter. But back then, according to the king's orders, they couldn't waste any time and aimed to destroy the core area. They even wanted to completely annihilate Luo Feng's avatar. Only as the situation continued to evolve did they end up in this current state. At this moment, the four armies, after being subtly guided by the four super limit level, all chose the same path. Retreat! Retreat! The four armies all fled towards the city outskirts along the nearest path. But as the mighty armies fled, they suddenly dropped their flying altitude and simultaneously focused on mass attacks. Thunder, various flames, black wind, curse killings, poisons, and other forces descended, breaking through the obstruction of the cyan black mist and forcibly affecting numerous cave mansions below. Luo Feng's Heaven and Earth array was a large-scale suppression and erosion. These armies, concentrating their power, naturally could break the cyan black mist. No. The cultivators in the cave mansions, already anxious while watching the high-altitude battle, became extremely tense seeing a vast low-level primordial life army directly overhead. But when the powers indeed swept down, what they felt inside was only despair. The cyan black mist had already exerted itself to block, but it could only block part of the power, with the remaining terrifying power still sweeping over them. The path of cultivation is full of various calamities. Cultivators fight and kill each other, become entrapped in bottlenecks while comprehending the Great Tao, risk crises while hunting low-level primordial life. Now, it's a heaven-sent catastrophe, the army breaking through the city. Said a middle-aged man sitting there, looking up at the descending power. He was a cultivator who had come from countless worlds, and this was his true body, having no avatars. But, this path of cultivation, it attracts me too much. The middle-aged man smiled. From the lowest level of a weak world, he had become infatuated with cultivation as soon as he came into contact with it. Training the physical body, training the mind, practicing swordsmanship. He evolved continuously, encountered more, and even outlived an entire cycle of his hometown world. He had traveled to other worlds too, entered even higher-level worlds. He kept gaining more cultivation knowledge and constantly strengthened himself. On this path, you, have no regrets. Under the terrifying power, the middle-aged man was instantly reduced to dust. Even at the moment of becoming dust, he faced it with a smile. Boom! Enormous power swept over numerous cave mansions, killing all the cultivators within. At this moment, within Yulon City, the four armies retreated simultaneously. While fleeing, they sent out part of their forces to slaughter. Their powers varied, cutting off every possibility of the cultivators' escape. The cultivators who could reach the Nine Rivers sacred realm each had experiences that could be described as legendary. But at this moment, in the face of this calamity, one by one, they were annihilated. Such is the path of cultivation. Besides conflicts and fighting among companions, besides facing bottlenecks in cultivation, one might also encounter external cataclysms. For example, a source world getting devoured, a holy realm being completely obliterated, even entire worlds dedicated to training divine emperors being wiped out. In the face of such cataclysms, individuals are powerless. The four low-level primordial life armies have started slaughtering. The array of elders watched with changing expressions. As the city lord, Luo Feng keenly sensed the situation throughout the city. At the moment the city fell, Luo Feng had already foreseen this scene. If the defensive system of Yulon City had stopped all the low-level primordial life armies outside, the losses within the city would have been negligible. But the city fell. The low-level primordial life army entered, and once they started slaughtering, the cultivators naturally died in droves. Earlier, the low-level primordial life focused on winning, aiming to quickly kill their way to the core area. But now, everything had changed. All elders, go all out and suppress the four armies. Luo Feng commanded from afar. Yes. Nearly 200 elders each deployed their formations, in coordination with Luo Feng's heaven and earth array, to suppress the four armies together. Forcing those armies to allocate more power to self-protection, leaving less power for slaughtering. Whoosh! Luo Feng's strongest avatar ignored the 4 super limit level and headed straight for the nearest army. Luo Feng is no longer paying attention to us. His other avatars are coming. The 4 super limit level watched as Luo Feng's other avatars stationed in the core area, a total of 10 avatars, moved through the gaps in the heaven and earth, heading towards them. Luo Feng's ordinary avatars, though somewhat weaker than the super limit level, were now supported by the formation. 10 avatars were enough to entangle the 4 super limit level. Escape. Quickly escape. The 4 super limit level didn't dare to hesitate and immediately joined forces to fly away into the distance. Luo Feng did not push too hard. If the 4 super limit level fought to the death, madly slaughtering, the cultivators would suffer massive casualties too. This army consisted of over 600 Divine Emperor perfection level, more than 8,000 late-stage Divine Emperors, and some weaker low-level primordial life forms. While dealing with Luo Feng's heaven and earth array and the formations of the elders, they also allocated part of their power to slaughter. Whoosh! Very suddenly, out of the cyan black mist appeared a huge furry claw, its power terrifying, piercing through the layered defenses of the army in an instant. Not good. The members of the army were filled with shock and anger. The enormous claw pierced through the defensive layers, sweeping through a large number of late-stage Divine Emperors and some Divine Emperor perfection levels, causing numerous casualties. Repel it. It's Luo Feng's secret treasure claw, repel it. The army moved and suppressed the enormous claw. Protect the entire army. More layers of defense tightly protected the whole army. They quickly assessed the damage from this claw strike. 19 leader level have died, along with 126 core lineages. The entire army was a bit agitated. Their defenses, initially to resist the formations, now had to deal with this targeted strike. Bear in mind that the explosive power of Luo Feng's strongest avatar exceeded that of the 4 super limit level, with an instantaneous burst of power comparable to the combined attack of over 100 Divine Emperor perfection level. Luo Feng's strength is too formidable. We cannot possibly defend against his attacks everywhere, it's impossible. And there's the formation aiding him. With combined attacks from nearly 200 elder formations and the heaven and earth array, the burden was already substantial. Moreover, Luo Feng's concealed presence, aided by the formation, made it impossible for them to pinpoint his location. Whoosh! Another claw, from the midsection of the army, caused over 100 more deaths. The army mainly consisted of leader level and core members, as the vast majority were summoned from other areas of the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. The lower and middle tiers had not been significantly gathered. Whoosh! 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 A massive furry claw attacked from different positions within the cyan black mist. We can't determine his location. He's everywhere. The entire army was in panic. In reality, Luo Feng's strongest avatar had merged into the endless blood sea, integrating with the heaven and earth array, almost covering half of the army's area. The range was so vast that, through causality sensing, it felt like Luo Feng was everywhere around them. Run, run, run. Quickly escape. Under the repeated attacks of the enormous claw, this army couldn't spare any effort to slaughter cultivators and immediately began to flee frantically. They fled at full speed, protecting themselves layer upon layer. How could their escape speed possibly match Luo Feng's pursuit speed? Luo Feng delivered several more claws. Having killed over 200 Divine Emperor perfection level and 1,500 late-stage Divine Emperors, Luo Feng stopped. If he continued, aided by the formation, he could completely wipe out this army, ensuring none escaped. But while dealing with this army, the other three armies were still slaughtering the cultivators. Whoosh! Luo Feng's strongest avatar, moving through the gaps in the heaven and earth, headed towards another army. Luo Feng is no longer attacking us. The heavily damaged army noticed the disappearance of the enormous claw and the cessation of attacks. But after losing a third of their forces, all that remained was panic. While resisting the combined attacks of the Heaven and Earth Array and the Elder formations, members were continuously dying. We can't attract Luo Feng back again. If he comes again, we'll be completely finished. Quick! After enduring dozens of claw strikes, the army had no more illusions and made a full-speed escape. Ha ha ha, we escaped, we escaped. The 4 super limit level rushed out of Yulon City, leaving the range of Luo Feng's Heaven and Earth Array and the Elder formations. There were some troops outside the city initially to prevent the cultivators from escaping. But with the defeat, the external low-level primordial life armies had already fled en masse. Luckily, the 4 armies slaughtered, forcing Luo Feng to stop them. The 4 super limit level, after escaping Yulon City, didn't slow down and continued flying away. After fleeing far enough, they dispersed and escaped separately, concealing their auras, dispersing and fleeing. The 4 super limit level fled further and further from Yulon City, planning to leave this area entirely and escape to other regions of the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. Escape. On the city wall stood 4 Luo Feng avatars, each with the biomimetic destruction eye on their foreheads. Do you think you can escape? The 4 Luo Feng avatars maintained a sufficient distance from the 4 super limit level, tracking them with the biomimetic destruction eye, following them from afar. These 4 super limit level, once the army inside the city was dealt with, Luo Feng would naturally take care of them one by one.